Hi, babies. Sometimes you just gotta ask how woke is woke. I feel like I'm just observing these days. I haven't been doing a whole lot of videos. I haven't been popping with any word to preach necessarily. I've had a lot of stuff, seems like just flying past me, and I could just grab hold of one of those nuggets and ruminate on it and open my camera up and share it, but not these days. So this video is going to be kind of just trying to piece some things together, maybe reaching out and asking for some help, maybe engaging some precious souls out there, and uncovering some more layers of truth that sets us free. And it seems to me that when woke is woke and people start talking this language about consciousness, being conscious, some are unconscious, I'm woke, you're not woke, you know, what they're really getting at is, are we free? Who are you? Who's free? Am I free? Are you free? And I don't want that just to become more dogma. Oops. Can't be just more dogma. I was at the sauna at my gym the other day, listening to some fellows talk about how woke they were. And they were talking all highfalutin, sanctimonious, kind of, I don't know if it's pseudo-spiritual, new age, I don't know how to define it, but you know, when I think of woke, about being awake, I think of being conscious. What are you conscious of? Well, Jesus said, unless a man is born again, he can't see the kingdom of heaven. So, I mean, if you're seeing clearly, you're conscious and you're awake and you know where you're going. Otherwise, you're asleep and you're dark and you're running into stuff. So, I have had a couple occurrences that have come to me recently, and I'm taking care of my dad these days. Taking care of my mom and dad, and there's a couple things. My dad needs attention as far as eating, drinking. He was hospitalized this last time because of dehydration. He just isn't aware. He wants to be in his chair. He wants comfort. And I've got to tell you right off the bat that sometimes when you settle for comfort, you may not be actually embracing the truth, and there may not be freedom in that. So he wants to be comfortable, sit in his chair and watch TV. And I just watch sometimes that hypnotic veil come down over his face. And you know, in my social media habits, I think there's a precaution that I have in my own heart about how woke am I by my participation in social media. Is this stuff dumbing me down, or are we really woke? Are we gathering into cyber communities where we're really spurring one another on to embrace the truth? And I got kind of terse with my dad, and I don't want to be disrespectful or dishonor him. However, if he's not eating or drinking, he's going to end up not feeling well, not responding to therapists, the worst case scenario, in the hospital again. And this reminds me of a case of an awakening that I had 20 years ago. And I remember I was just getting into lifting. And I was awakening to things that I could do, capacities I had, strength I had, reserves of vigor that were in me that had never been tapped before. I was like, I like this. You know, and then the form happened, and I started getting muscles and stuff like that. But just that sense of strength and power going through my body. It was like, I didn't know that I could move like this. I didn't know that I could move that obstacle. And anyway, I had some testosterone busting out all over the place in me. And I was living with a guy named Ben, and in our relationship or our dialogue, there was one day where he was eating an egg, and then he did something while we were eating breakfast together that bugged the crap out of me, and it triggered me. And I was awake, that there was something, and it wasn't just me, well, somewhat of an asshole. Mind you, I had surges of testosterone going on freshly in my body. I was new to working out. I was a aspiring gym rat. So I was a little abrasive. However, Ben was eating an egg, and he was doing it mechanically. And you got to know Ben, because Ben is special, and he's had a broken history, and kind of an awkward individual. And anyway, I was watching him eat his eggs, and it was very mechanical. And I was like, are you even tasting what you're eating? Do you have any idea what the texture or the temperature or the taste of this stuff is that you're just piling down your throat? And honestly, and to my fault, and I regret some of my behaviors back then, but I reacted. I was triggered. My emotions were triggered because I was aware that there's something he wasn't experiencing in this meal. And it bugged me. He wasn't awake. He wasn't conscious. And I initiated a wrestling match with him, and I pinned him in our dining room. Oh, God forgive me, but I did it. I'm not sure if he's enjoying eggs to this day. I'll have to get in touch with him to find out if he's enjoyed an omelet. Maybe I'll make him one, if he forgives me. So that was one instance, and you see the contextualization. You see how I'm piecing this together, that there's a veil, there is a barrier that's preventing us from experiencing our humanity, that there are our senses, and there are, I mean, the Bible even says, exercise your senses so that you perceive, discern the spirits, open your eyes, see what's around there in the spirit world. And that's highfalutin mystical stuff. But however, God is just as much in that breakfast where you're shoveling the eggs in your mouth and not having a clue what the experience is about, because you're not taking time to experience the egg and the temperature and the texture and the taste. And so, but this is all coming together. That was an experience, and there's things that I'm sure that, even at this point in my growth, that I am seeing through a glass darkly, because the Bible says that we do see through a glass darkly. There's things that are out there that we're not perceiving, not grasping, that are right in front of our faces, but our senses are not exercised to grasp the stuff that God puts in front of our faces. And so we're growing to a place where we are able to handle, to perceive, to grasp. And sometimes, that's where cognitive dissonance comes in. That's where this sensory input, this information, these things that we're encountering come upon us, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. This is just throwing me off kilter. My bearings are shot right now because I don't have a grid for this thing that I'm experiencing. But it's new, and that's the way that faith is. You step into new territories, you experience a new thing, and it's like when you walk in faith, it doesn't mean that you're upright and perfect. It means that you're stepping in by faith. You're stepping that foot. You're taking your foot and taking that stride into the unknown, the uncertainty. And the first step of faith for a lot of people may be ugly and messy. You may end up on your face, but you wouldn't be in that new land, experiencing that new thing, if you hadn't taken that step of faith and ended up on your face, you know what I mean, in something new. Forget about your composure, forget about your ego. Being conscious and being woke isn't necessarily pretty, and it's not something where you're going to sit on some pedestal, look down on other people like those guys in the sauna the other day, talking about how conscious they were and how woke they were, and how this other person wasn't, So in the other instance, I just got here a little while ago to my gym, and the other case here was that there was television blaring when I walked in here. And there's people here, and they're doing their thing, and I could tell that veil was going on. It was like, one guy was texting right next to the television, and it was blaring, and just, there's a discordant atmosphere. When I walk into a discordant atmosphere, and it prevents me, a lot of static, it's a lot of static, a lot of a neon light that prevents you from seeing the starry lights in the night sky. I want to remove that because it's preventing me from perceiving the things that are out there that everybody doesn't see. So maybe I've learned a little bit of courtesy since the day that I wrestled my friend Ben to the ground for not tasting his egg, because I walked over to this guy that was next to the television, was texting. I didn't know if he was watching the television or not. It was blaring at him while he was texting. And I says, "Excuse me, do you mind if I turn that off? I'd like to cut the sound so that I can." I mean, sometimes I can hear it even over my headphones, and it bugs me because it just distracts me from my workout. It's ordering your mind. When you really are woke, when you are discerning things correctly, when you're exercising, when your senses are exercised, you have a right of initiative to start ordering your environment. And when that noise and those distractions come along, cut the sound. If you're really woke, you're going to realize those things that are contended for, those things that you ought to be focused on, and it's time to cut the sound. So, grow with me, babies. I think I patched together kind of a cohesive thought here. I hope. Send it out on YouTube and Facebook. Hopefully it blesses you. And let's have feedback. Let's have our senses exercised. Let's have testimonies of what you see in your woke state. What kind of things is the light of God shining on in your life that you didn't see before, that are blowing your mind and propelling you to a place of cognitive dissonance. You know, Jacob got wrestled by an angel. He needed to be elevated to a place, and he got accosted, or God ambushed him. God ambushed Jacob, and he got wrestled by an angel, and Jacob said, "I'm not going to let you go until you bless me." It's like, there's something there. There's something I'm not perceiving, and I've got to have it. I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And maybe that's kind of a similar vein as what triggered me when I saw Ben in that egg situation, and I pinned him after a wrestling match in our dining room. Let's cut this on, babies. Let's love one another. Let's respect one another. Let's maintain courtesy, and let's cut the sound. Bless you.